It's no irony that the debate that spelled the end for Biden's candidacy might foreshadow the same for Trump.
A new poll from the UNH Survey Center shows Vice President Kamala Harris maintaining a lead over former President Donald Trump.
While Biden stumbled and Trump rambled, the message that night was clear. Biden can't win. And that might easily be Trump's fate after next week's debate.
I did mention at the top of the show, Labor Day is the traditional kickoff to the campaign season. I don't know that that applies anymore. Frankly, I'm not sure it's applied for the last few cycles, but we say it. I mean, what is left to do in 64 days?
The debate is everything.
Everything.
Everything. When the voter sees side by side the two candidates and they listen to what they say, not just in the answers, it's the body language. Is there contempt? Does someone fold their arms? Do they look at the individual when they're speaking? Do they seem presidential in their approach? For Trump, can he keep quiet? Can he actually listen to a response, or does he have to respond to everything? For Harris, does she seem open-minded? Does she seem willing to take in information, not just project? Each one of them has different goals for that debate, but each one in the end has to prove that they're ready, not just for that moment, but voters are thinking, who do I want to represent me 2 years from now, 3 or 4 years from now? That's why Biden had to step aside when he did, and that's the challenge for Harris right now. You know, she did not do well in her presidential debate. She did not shine. And now she has to prove she has the capability to do it. And Trump has to prove that he doesn't treat her rudely, obnoxiously, because he lost a lot of female voters in 2020 who would have voted for him over policy, but would not vote for him because of his persona.
Okay, a couple things about that. Harris debated in the primaries, a much different animal. In a primary debate, you're talking to your own party. You're trying to separate yourself from 5 or 6 other candidates. But when it's one-on-one, big difference. Harris is a former attorney general, a trained prosecutor. That's important. Prosecutors get one crack, whereas a defense attorney can appeal. And if the state loses their case, game over. That's called the high wire. And Harris will not make the mistakes Clinton made.
Just yesterday in the state of Florida, they decided middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
All he knows is to attack, attack, attack. Immigrants, LGBT, women seeking reproductive rights, not to mention minorities and non-evangelical religions.
If you don't like our religion, then we don't want you in our country.
And these attacks, well, like Fat Donnie, they get old.
The concept, but she's totally against the Jewish people, and it amazes me how Jewish people will vote for the Democrats when they're being treated so disrespectfully and badly. It amazes me.
Jews will not replace us!
Very fine people on both sides.
It's like having a choice between watching To Kill a Mockingbird or professional wrestling.
Kamala even wants to pass laws to outlaw red meat to stop climate change, and she is... You know what that means? That means no more cows. You know, this is serious.
Trump's inner circle trusts Fat Donnie about as far as they can throw him. So they lobbied hard to keep his mic off while Harris is speaking. They understand the danger he represents to himself, while the rest of the country sees the nightmare he would be to our nation.
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up. When people get indicted, your poll numbers go down.
Trump is quite capable of saying something stupid, but in this setting, he will do what he always does. Attack immigrants, people of color, women, and Biden. But Harris will be prepared. From Afghanistan to inflation, the answers are easy enough. Donnie, why didn't you pull out of Afghanistan? How much of the $1 trillion bailout that created inflation did Trump originate? If you're for the cops and law and order, why did you send thousands to the Capitol to put 100 Capitol Hill police in the hospital?
You know, one of the things I've never understood about Donald Trump is they really push this notion, oh, he doesn't do debate prep, he doesn't do tradition. He does debate prep. We know he does debate prep. He may not do formal mock debates in a room, or maybe he does and we just don't know. But why do you think it's so important for him to project this image of I don't care that much?
Because in 2020, he was told by Governor Chris Christie, chill out. You don't have to go for the jugular. Let President Biden speak, or at the time, Vice President Biden, and he'll hurt himself. And Trump couldn't do it. He couldn't lay off. He just had to go. And if I was advising the campaign right now, which I do not, I'd say to him that silence, in some cases, is the best language.
That's funny. Trump can't shut his hole because he's a malignant narcissist.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
He really thinks he's a genius, despite an entire life that points to the contrary. He's stunningly stupid, and that's why McConnell and McCarthy put him in play. They thought they could control him, but they vastly underestimated his malignancy on the huge swath of ignorant Americans who view him as a messianic figure.
Tell me about if Donald Trump does not win, what do you do?
I hope that I'm going to die.
You want to die if Donald Trump doesn't win?
I do. I don't want to live like this anymore. You like our country the way it is now?
It's hard for me to give credit to a person like Obama for all the reasons that I think are true about him that is not in the mainstream media.
Like what?
Him and his favorite beau, Michael. I'm sorry, I meant that Michelle. And I could go on. There's no sense in going further than that. All right.
I mean, his wife?
I mean the person that he cohabitates with, yes.
The mother of his two daughters?
Okay, say what you want, but I don't believe that for an instant either.
That, of course, explains why, for these hillbillies, it doesn't matter what Trump says in the debate, although there are exceptions.
I voted for Donald Trump. Not my proudest moment. I will not be voting for him again.
The truth is, this isn't really a debate. The networks will bend over backwards to try and pretend that this stilted back and forth will produce a better understanding of international finance, immigration complexities, crime, and the dangers that a theocratic government poses to America.
Some will say now that I am calling America a Christian nation. And so I am. And some will say that I am advocating Christian nationalism, and so I do.
But instead it will showcase tough questions for Harris, which she will answer, and zero pushback when Trump again gets out his mouth. But Americans, most Americans, have seen this movie before, and they know how it ends. Trump was incapable then, and since then has slid into a malevolent fog that even a worm would avoid. This debate will rest on one thing. Can an aging, mentally confused, cognitively declining felon
And the voices of famed evangelical
who promotes violence and revenge against fellow Americans.
In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, they would not do it again so easily.
A man who wants to allow states to violate the constitutional amendments against not just immigrants, but Americans born here.
We are going to start the largest mass deportation in the history of our country.
Not to mention women's constitutional rights.
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman.
Yeah, there has to be some form.
Can we allow this sociopathic virus to have complete immunity from attacking the democratic process, including violent insurrections against the Congress? Can we survive if this thing gains power? That's the question. And if you don't know the answer, then you're the problem.
Damn right.
I'm ready. Let's go.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Trust me.
Shut the fuck up, Don.
Who's with me? Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donald.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.